Economic news obviously coming out today. We have the jobs numbers, a couple other numbers that I think we'll find very interesting, and we're going to go through some of those. Very interesting this morning as I had an opportunity to speak. I already got an email from a listener in New Mexico. Didn't know we had that many listeners in New Mexico. I think we're on I think I'm on a TV network. I don't know if we have stations out there or not, but anyway. Interesting. I already got an email from a text message, actually from a friend in New Mexico that heard me on a secular station out there this morning talking about what is going on with the job cuts, where we're going to be tomorrow, and frankly, the 215-point move in the Dow yesterday was the big news, and the reason why when we see the Dow move almost 1.5%, I got a lot of phone calls this morning. And it was kind of interesting, great conversations as I went through some of the numbers. And they were all numbers that I had been going through with all of these stations. And none of the stations that I talked to this morning I had not been on before. All of them were stations that I've been on many times over the last 5 years or so. But very interesting to go through the numbers now in a very different perspective because we're starting to see a bit of a panic. Now, I don't think there is a bit of a panic, even though that was what two folks said to me this morning. I don't know that there's a panic. I would say that there is hopefully or possibly some reality setting in as opposed to panic. Reality setting in on some of the numbers. Now, I've heard everybody this morning on different news networks and as I listen to financial news talk about the fact that job cut announcements are down for the third month in a row. And that is very good news, by the way. I'm not discounting it as good news. But last month, when they were down 2 months in a row, I said this, and I'm going to repeat it again this month. You know, there reaches a point after a 5-year recession. Let me just emphasize that. 5-year recession. Oh, you can talk about technically we haven't been in a recession for a couple years if you'd like. But I'm not even going there. And we're just going to say that there's been a 5-year recession. There are fewer people working today than there were January of 2009. So unemployment is still high. The reason for that is there have been mass layoffs since 08 and 09 and continuing. Productivity, we talked about that yesterday. Manufacturing slowing down, according to the ISM. None of those things have gained any kind of momentum in the last 5 years. These massive cuts have led to bottom line profits for corporations, for manufacturing, for service sector positions. There's no denying that, right? We've seen those numbers. And we're getting very excited about the third month in a row to see job cut announcements down. I'm not taking away that it's good news. But look, it deserves some consideration that at some point in time, after cuts for the last 4 or 5 years, that there is a number in which corporations, manufacturing, service sector, oil industry, retail sector, consumer cyclicals, whatever, that you've got to stop unless you want to go out of business. See, there is a point in which you just can't keep laying off. You've got to keep a certain amount of workers working. There is still some demand for products, goods, and services. You can't just stop. You can't continue to lay off. Don't you think that after 4 or 5 years of this, that you reach a point where you've got to hoard what employees you have left in order to be somewhat prepared for a turnaround that may come, to be somewhat prepared for an increase in consumer spending if that happens, to maintain some sort of competitive edge. Don't you think there is a number that you've got to keep? It's been going on for 5 years, folks. Now, I'm not trying to take away and be a damp rag here on the so-called good news, but come on. Come on, all you analysts out there, all you economists, all you news commentators. Can you just use a little bit of reality and common sense? This isn't a recession that's been going on for a year. It's been going on for 4 or 5 years. There's a critical mass that every company has to maintain. Nobody's talking about that because we ignore the obvious over and over and over again. I guess that's why there is financial issues. Now, based on the job cuts announcements, I don't know how long, maybe we won't have financial issues long. Here's why. Devin, Patrick, our producer, new producer here, Financial Issues. Man, I don't know, Devin, you and I might be off the air here at any moment because the largest job cut announcements the largest increases were in media. All right, well, that's us. And the largest of the largest number were in the financial sector. Devin, we're in trouble, brother. So if you don't hear me tomorrow, you might want to panic. But that's where all the big job cuts. I don't know about the radio networks, if they've made any announcements like that. I don't think so. But double whammy for us. So that's where the largest planned job cuts have been, in media and in the financial sector. That doesn't do a whole lot for me. Anyway, just kidding, folks. I think we'll still be here tomorrow.